Mapmakers continued to draw California as an island. This era went on and on for 200 years, by far the greatest cartological era in the history of the world. Even numerous subsequent expeditions reconfirming the obvious fact that California was a peninsula could not stop this misinformation. Ultimately, it took no less than the personal intervention of the Spanish King Ferdinand VI himself to finally put a stop to it. A scholar named Glenn McLaughlin spent 40 years going around the world and collecting over 800 original California as an island maps or copies of maps, the largest collection of its kind in the world. He donated this entire collection to the Stanford Library in 2011, and it is available for you to see online. The maps are chronologically listed so you can see minute and big differences over time. It is a fascinating collection. Now we come to the fascinating story of how the Spanish actually came to California. Throughout the 17th century, the Russians expanded eastward towards Siberia. Remember that in the U.S., we went west, the Russians went east. By the 18th century, the Russians had reached the Pacific Ocean. It was then that they hired the Danish sea captain, Vitus Bering, to explore further east. He led a Russian voyage that discovered the Bering Sea and Alaska. Soon the Russians colonized Alaska, establishing capitals first on Kodiak Island, then Yakutat, and finally down in Sitka in southeast Alaska. This expansion freaked out the Spanish. First, Spanish King Philip V conceived of a repulsion strategy, the idea of, quote, boots on the ground. His vision was to establish 21 missions up and down about 600 of the 1,000-mile length of California. At this point, California was completely undefended and unpopulated by Europeans. It was one of the last temperate climate regions in the world that was not colonized by the Europeans or someone. Each mission was to consist of a church, a small presidio or fort, and a pueblo or village. Essentially, these were to be gigantic plantations, with unpaid Native American serf labor doing all of the work.